Oh, you can see my run time. There you go. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about building a challenge. This is not a quote unquote step-by-step how do you build a challenge presentation. This is maybe a step before that, which is, how do you go through and develop a challenge? Because, the interesting thing is there's so many different directions to go. And so hopefully this presentation will help you kind of build an outline of what type of challenge you would like to do, how you'd like to go to market, how you'd like to interface with people, maybe what types of options you'd like to offer. And then you'll be able to actually build your challenge and start marketing it. So to introduce myself, I'm Brian Jenkins. So I run the sales and account management division here at RunSignup. And as you'll find out later in the presentation, I've actually put together a challenge myself as an experiment to try to learn more about our platform and how I could best guide customers on how to put together a challenge. One of the important things to know is that this session is recorded. We also have the slides we're going to share, and we also have a great document put together on challenges, as well as an actual challenge platform page. So runsignup.com/challenge platform, which has a lot of great resources to help you better understand our platform. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right. Oh, now my laser pointer's back. So that's me. Johanna made an illustration of me. So I mean, you guys can see me. We can talk about the accuracy of that. Don't have my RunSignup shirt on, but I do have a pink tank top, so that's pretty accurate. I like pink a lot. All right, so defining what is a challenge. So a challenge, it's multiple days or weeks or months, and so the idea is that you're setting a goal out. And many people need these types of things in order to get them motivated. So many of you guys may come from a race background. You put on a walk or a run or a ride in the past, and that would be something that's someone's goal to train for that. And they would, come to your event, and that might be their 2 months of training and finish your race. So now we're in a little bit of a bind, and people are looking for a longer term engagement, 30, 60 days engagement, because they need something in place of the gym, or potentially other social groups that they might use to keep their fitness goals up and running. So most of the challenges are of the run, walk, or ride variety, but you can do lots of other things, push-ups, planks, meditation, books read. There's lots of different ways to do it. And so one of the things you want to start writing down, and I'm a big fan of just taking, I'll show you guys here. This is a very handy dandy RunSignup notepad here. You take it out, you grab your pen and you start writing down ideas. So what types of things do you and your community engage over? And is there a way to do a challenge around that? So you want to get feedback from other people as well to make sure that you're on the right track. And so the main thing to let you know is that it does not have to be limited to, endurance only events, especially if that doesn't make sense for your community. Okay. So the next question would be is, why would you want to start a challenge at all? So I'm on the board of Henrico Casa. Henrico is a county that I live in. And if you don't know about Casa, that we're trying to help kids that are in very difficult situations by having an adult who kind of testifies on their behalf in the court system to get the best outcome for kids. And, many people wanted to either do something in person or nothing at all. And so in my discussions, we've made it a priority to stay relevant. So challenges allow you to, even if it's like moderate revenue generation, it's high engagement and high awareness. So if you skip a year of doing anything with anyone, it's going to be much harder for you to start things back up next time. So we went through and built out a little bit bigger list of why you'd want to start a challenge. So I talked about the engagement, goodwill that goes into this extended engagement. Like if I've only interacted with your charity for that one day walk because my sister, invited me to it, I may not know anything about you. And at the end of that 30 to 60 day challenge, I may know a lot about you. Expanding your community. These are, maybe people who like me, maybe it was just a one-time participant, or maybe I'm just brand new to you altogether. So again, like there's a lot of different types of people who need something to motivate them right now. And you guys could potentially supply that and then meet new people. And hopefully some of those people become donors, some of them become volunteers, or just generally engaged with you. So the other thing that's kind of neat about this is that, it's reducing the reliance on in-person, but even put differently, this gives you an opportunity to, create engagement and generate revenue during the off season. So whatever your off season is, a challenge could be something that you do to keep people motivated during the winter or during the summer, whatever your off season is. So, and building on top of that, your challenge does not have to be in place of a race. It can be in complement of that. So we actually have challenges now that are being built out where it's the race plus the challenge. So, for $69, you get the race and the challenge or something like that. So, think of them as potentially in tandem. So we've seen a lot of different types of challenges. So we put a list together of just some of the things that we've seen. Obviously, the most popular ones are run across the state. We've had a number of successful elevation challenges. I propose the idea of good deeds. I'm not sure if that one's tangible enough for people. Reading the books, triathlons or team triathlons, lap races, fitness challenges. There's a lot of different directions to go. So, use this list as a starting point, but don't feel like this is a limiting list, because we do support custom challenges where you're defining what that challenge is. So I got to the point where I really felt like I couldn't be helpful to our customers, because I understand the race industry forward, backwards. I really understand races really well. Challenges were new to me. And like you guys. And so I decided that we needed to do an experiment where we could really touch every piece of the challenge, so we could, test different things. So the goal wasn't to make money. The goal wasn't to, for it to be some huge thing, because, to give you background on this, like I never had a Facebook account. So I was literally starting with zero. And so what I decided to do is a 1-month challenge called Activity for Good. The charity partner is Feeding America. And then my challenge, the idea is that you're active for 30, 45, or 60 minutes per day. So I went with the minutes concept to be very different from any of our customers. So there was no conflict of interest there, saying like, hey, run across the state of Virginia where I live. I wanted to, be very separated from anything else anyone else had done. So getting started. So when you're getting started, there's a lot of different things that you want to do. So, what we talked a little bit about idea generation, using your handy dandy notebook and writing down your best ideas, and then, testing those out on other people to make sure that matches your constituents. You also need to be cognizant of like, how hard should your challenge be? One of the other things that's undervalued at times, and this may not be super important for all of you, but for me, Activity for Good was a domain that was available, a Facebook page that was available, and an Instagram page that was available. So I could secure my my digital footprint and get the actual branding that I wanted. And so that kind of flips over to the other side of the slide, is creating a brand. So essentially, I came up with the name Activity for Good, and I just started playing with colors. And what I found was that kind of the pinks and the purples and the teals stood out to me as the colors that seemed to, go really well with the words Activity for Good. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. That's just kind of how I came up with it. I also kind of stumbled into a font. I used Canva heavily to kind of build and show my brand. So my entire brand kit is stored in Canva, including the fonts, and how I want everything to be presented. Am I saying it's the best? No, definitely not. But like, I did all that. If you go to activityforgood.com, everything you see there, excluding the video, is stuff that I designed. So when you're looking at your social media presence, I mentioned this when I was searching out for a brand. I had this Activity for Good idea. I found that it was available from a domain. I found that it was available from a Facebook page, and Instagram. One of the other things that's super important for challenges is make sure that you add in a Facebook group. Your Facebook group is your opportunity to create community and allow people to share their successes or challenge or difficulties, maybe not use the word challenge so much. And then people can lift each other up and say, oh, you did great today. Or someone says, I skipped today because I just wasn't feeling that good. People can say, oh, it's okay. You can always do it tomorrow. So, Facebook groups, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but that is something else that you want to make sure that you have in your plan for your social media presence. From a Facebook page standpoint, I would highly encourage you to set up a Facebook business page. So if you go to business.facebook.com, go ahead and set that up. That opens up some additional tools from an advertising standpoint that you can utilize so you can promote your event appropriately. Because if you're just using the basic ad program, some of the concepts of audience development and things like that are really just not there. They just want you to boost a post or do some very, geographical advertising. So pricing. So pricing is one of the things that is very hard to do with a challenge. Because some of these costs are very low, like a domain is, let's say $12, Canva's $12 a month and you could use it for free. And there's other services that are out there. Your swag, it really depends on, are you doing a t-shirt and a medal? Are you doing, a t-shirt and a mask? Like what are you doing? So, you can then price that out. And I would highly recommend, looking at, and we can definitely include this, getting quotes from companies that offer fulfillment. I would not encourage you unless you know everyone can come to your facility and pick up their goods. Just ship it directly to the participants and charge them a small incremental fee for shipping, and let your fulfillment company manage that for you. One of the undervalued things about challenges is the amount of time that you're going to be working on this. It's not just the 30 days that you spend doing the challenge. It's the 30 days that you spend marketing the challenge. And the questions you're going to answer and all this type of stuff. You do need to make sure that you've allocated, some period of time each day to answer Facebook posts, moderate the Facebook group, answer emails, like deal with customer service issues. Because the difference between a challenge and an event is that an event happens on a particular day and there's a lot of work, and then by 1 o'clock it's over and you go home. With these challenges, it's little bits of work for potentially 2 months. For marketing, making sure that you've got some money set aside to launch this. I think that at a minimum, 10 to 15% of your budget should be allocated to marketing, because you just need to spend money on marketing to get the word out. There's a lot of different things, virtual events going on. So how are you differentiating yourself? One of the ways is that you just need to put your name out there, and you can't give up on just 1 or 2 advertisements. You've got to have kind of a suite of different advertisements that you're running through, because you've got to mix and match your creative and your copy until you find the right mix. And then finally, are you doing any donations to your charity partners? Because, either many of you have long-term charity partners who help market, your previous events. So you want to make sure that you can bring them in the fold and keep them healthy as well. So when you're trying to sell your price, I think there's a lot of different ways to sell your price. Some of our events, truthfully, like the entire package that they're offering is worth more money than you're actually paying. Now, and you'd say, well, how are they doing that? It's like, well, when you're buying shirts at wholesale and medals at wholesale and things like that, the actual retail price of that stuff, and that's what I mean by value, is going to be higher than the actual price you're selling it for. So that alone can drive people. You can drive on value. If you don't have incredible swag, I think it is very difficult to get people to sign up. And it's not just the actual swag itself, is making sure that it's well positioned on your website so that people can see exactly what they're getting. And that should be in advertisements as well, as trying to position your swag in the best possible light. You do need to provide some value to the 30 days of engagement and support that you're going to provide. You also can, one of the things that you can market, it's just hard on a first challenge, is whether or not, I've seen some challenges that have been able to do giveaways during the challenge. So if you go back to some of your sponsorship partners from the past, you can say, hey, would you be willing to support our challenge by, giving away a gift card to your, restaurant or something like that. And many of them will, because it's very tangible marketing. So these are the types of things that you want to make sure that you're kind of bulleting or marketing that's included in your challenge. So, kind of think of it as like, an infomercial. It's like you get this and you get this and you get this, because then it feels like it's, wow, this is an incredible value. So let's go through our checklist here. So the key virtual settings is making sure when you're setting up your event in the RunSignup platform, on step 1 of the wizard, make sure you set your event type to virtual race or challenge. So your virtual race address, you can type in the addresses anywhere. You can then set in a valid city and zip code for the time being, but you can hide that later, and then go into the hiding that later. So you can hide the default place under race page, and then location, and you can hide the location, or add a custom location description, like any place, anywhere as the location, or in the example, wherever you are. So you also can change the verbiage on our platform from race to challenge or virtual challenge. So then finally, we have a confirmation email that everyone gets, confirming their purchase and how much they paid. You can also include in the confirmation email how they can log their activities, and any other FAQs you might have. So giveaway details, we've added a feature called additional details. So when you set up your t-shirt in the platform, including things like when they have to register by, or how they're going to be getting the swag, is going to drastically reduce your customer service questions. And that's going to be included in the confirmation email as well as a reinforcement. So if they go back and look at their purchase, they'll see, how they're going to get their stuff, or when they're going to get it, depending on what information you include. So in the virtual results, so you can go into under race day tools, and then virtual challenge and results, configure virtual results. You can enable this, and this is the process of going through and configuring your virtual challenge settings. So this is the first step. So once you enable it, you'll see on the bottom left, it says event type challenge, tally type distance in miles, when they're accepting submissions, et cetera, et cetera. So let's keep drilling in here. So once you get into your virtual challenge / virtual results settings, you'll enable that this is a challenge. For each activity, what are participants uploading? Are they uploading time? Are they uploading distance? You can set custom tally types if you're not doing a specific one of our preset ones like laps or miles or things like that. You can set when the activity submission starts, when the activity submission ends. How should results be sorted? Is it by lowest time? Is it by highest time? Is it by greatest distance? Is there a minimum and maximum time? And then finally, at the very bottom of the page, you can't quite see it on the screenshot, is I would highly recommend checking the box that allows people to just upload results by entering their email or the last 4 digits of their phone number, so they don't have to log in to RunSignup to upload their challenge results. So you can set up challenge types. So we've set up a number of preset, so run, walk, ride, swim, ski, paddle, row. And then if your challenge does not meet any of those criteria, you can then put in custom, and then you could say push-ups or planks or whatever you want to put in there. We also do support multi-sport challenges. So we've had a few triathlon challenges, or you could potentially do a swim run challenge. Those are pretty popular. So you would have multiple activity types for that. And then you would look into some of the rules about, are you requiring people to do at least one of this activity, or at most one of these activities? And it really depends on what you're trying to do. So you also can do notifications. These aren't as popular with challenges, which is like, you could send an email or a text message the day the challenge starts to start reminding people about logging their activity in the challenge platform. So goals, these are super important. So the goal is that how much of this activity is the goal. And one of the things I didn't mention earlier is that, with my challenge for Activity for Good, I set up 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 60 minutes. Those are different events that I set up when I was, building the event in the RunSignup platform. So if you set up, let's say a 100-mile challenge, you can set up a 200-mile challenge and a 300-mile challenge. The goal is going to be set when you set this up. You would say, okay, the goal is 100, the goal is 200, the goal is 300. So you'll set all those up. You also will have the opportunity to display a map. So if the participants are traveling from Houston to El Paso on your challenge, you can upload a map into our system so participants can see where they are along the map. And then finally, you can also set up milestones and badges. So if you're doing a 100-mile challenge, you could say, hey, you've reached mile 1. I really like the concept of, welcoming them. So you can see in my example, I've got a welcome badge. And then you can give them, badges at mile 10, mile 20, mile 30, et cetera. So that you're setting up a milestone and then you're uploading a badge. So they'll earn that badge as they get to that milestone. So you can add in, under the configure virtual results and details, you can add in registration instructions explaining how participants will log their miles, and you can add results, upload instructions for any additional information you want on the results logging page. So essentially, how do I log my results? And then on the results upload page, is there any instructions you want to provide to your challenge participants beyond just, hey, log your activity? So this is what it looks like for a participant. So Johanna has signed up for the mover and shaker 60 minutes. So she can go in and type in her name. And now as soon as she does that, she can log her activity. And then it says, you pick the date and you pick the minutes, you can enter her time, and then she can even put in a comment. And the comments actually do support emojis as well. So she could put in like a little bike emoji if she went and biked or something like that. One of the things that I've done on Activity for Good is I have linked this page, the actual lookup page, onto and pinned that to my menu. So I went into the RunSignup menu and said, hey, I created a page called Log My Activity and added that to my menu. And the reason for that is to make it hopefully easier and more obvious to participants that that's where they need to go to log their activity. So I mentioned this a little earlier. We put this in the chat. So we have a fantastic page of runsignup.com/challenge platform that has an incredible amount of documentation that you can go through that takes you step by step on how to configure your challenge, or even within certain parts of the challenge platform, there's documentation on specific parts. So now you've got the basics of your event set up. And your challenge is configured. So what other things should you do to maybe separate your page or make it look better? So one of the things is going into race and then race page and race theme. We have preset color schemes that you can choose from. You also can build your own color scheme. So what I did is, in Canva, I went in and built my logos and my color scheme. And then I went into the race theme and just took the HTML colors for my logos and the various colors of my logos and just plug that into my race theme. And, it looked pretty good. So it wasn't incredibly hard. It did take a little bit of patience, but, now I kind of have a quote unquote, custom race theme. You can also add custom sections. So those custom sections can be, how do you log activity? They can be FAQs. It can be anything you want that you want to communicate to participants. You can even have custom sections that specifically just show up in the confirmation email. I mentioned just a minute ago about customizing my menu options. So I added that custom how to log my activity as custom content. And then I went into my menu order and then made that a menu option there. I created a cover page. So if you're not familiar with the cover page, I call the cover page the poster of our website. This is the page that your participant's going to initially see. So if you imagine, what posters used to look like, this website should look just like a poster, and it should be eye-grabbing. You can have like a big, block of content at the top. You can have videos. You can have various calls to action. You can have data-driven elements like your top donors or how many miles your participants have logged. The cover page gives you a lot of flexibility, and it can make you look like a rock star, and it's really just kind of plug and play. Bring your own domain. I keep harping on this, but activityforgood.com is completely powered by the RunSignup platform. So all I did is I went to GoDaddy, I bought the domain, and then I mapped that domain over to the RunSignup system. So it looks professional, but I'm still not really spending that much money because they're doing, RunSignup's doing all the hosting of the website. We talked a little bit about some of the social aspects of these events. Like if you have success with a challenge, it's going to be related to how well you do with your social marketing. So under promotion, we have a concept called social sharing. This is what participants share on Facebook or Twitter when they sign up for your event and then click the Facebook share button. So if you want it to be a specific image, if you want it to be specific copy, make sure you customize that. If you don't, like we're going to put basic information in there, but it may not be exactly what you want to communicate. Also, we have our email capture capability and our email marketing. And what this is it's a pop-up that shows up when you land on the website. And I would recommend, turning it on after 30 seconds. So if someone hangs on your website for 30 seconds and they don't do anything, you can then ask them, would you like to, give us your email address? And then you can send them an email trying to market to them. So here's some examples of some of the customized challenge sites. I like kind of all of them. I think they all are doing something different, and that's important because, like, I know that these are themes and templates, and people want creativity, but like, to me, these are showing just a small snippet of the creativity we've seen, and hopefully we'll see even more creativity. I've been shocked at some of the pages and how good they've been, and just using ideas that I didn't even think of on how to use our platform to, be a really, really nice website. So I'm trying to see if there's anything in particular on this page. I guess the only thing to note is that you can customize your navigation. So we've got horizontal for 2 of these examples, and we've got vertical navigation. So marketing your challenge. So, going back to the handy dandy notebook here, writing down, why would someone want to join your challenge? So we've kind of created these blocks of different reasons why people would want to participate in a challenge. And it kind of focuses all around sharing an experience. I'm just going to make an assumption that most of the people on this have some experience with an event in the past. And one of the things that we all enjoy about events is that it's a shared experience. We may do it with our friends, and there may be 500 other people there that know, but it's definitely a shared experience. And so that's why, challenges seem to resonate with a different group of people. So it creates accountability. People can, take positive steps on their health. It actually, you are setting goals and trying to help them achieve their goals. They get cool swag. There's a virtual community. Maybe they meet new people, make new friends, try a new activity, support a cause. And one of the other things that is extremely popular right now is replacing the gym. There's a lot of people that the gym was their safe space. That was their space that made them happy. And for a lot of people, that's been kind of limited or taken away altogether. So a challenge can be something that can help them, go through the grieving process of not having a gym right now. So, these are all the different reasons, and you may have other reasons you'd want to add to, why someone would want to do your challenge. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but, marketing budget is something that you really need to have a discussion about. If you try to come into a challenge with a 0 marketing budget, it is possible to do, but like you need to have a very, very large marketing list to start with. So, because you need to get what I call initial lift. So you need to have, 500 to 1,000 people register for your challenge so that there's enough people talking about your event, joining your Facebook group, socially sharing it, recommending it to their friends, just even verbally, to get lift so that your marketing somewhat rides along on, that initial participant registration bump that you got from sending out a couple email addresses or email blasts. And one of the other things to know is if your entire email list is based off people who have run your race in the past, that may not translate perfectly to a challenge. It may not. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're doing a challenge that is nothing like what your race is, more than likely your race marketing list may not respond to your challenge. So that's something to think about, is like, okay, if we're not going to spend a ton of money on marketing, what do our customers want? And one of the things that we've done internally to you guys is send out surveys. We don't have all the answers, and neither do you. So if you're really unsure about what direction you should go with your challenge, maybe what the price should be, how you would present it, it might not be a bad idea to do a survey to ask people, what they might be interested in. So digital marketing, I touched on the email marketing. RunSignup includes an email platform, so you're welcome to use our email platform. It's really easy to use. There's definitely better email platforms out there, such as MailChimp and Constant Contact and other tools out there. We do have some advantages in that it's free. And if you've used us for many years or many different events, our internal CRM allows you to build targeted lists. So if you're doing a challenge specifically for women, you could build a female targeted CRM list and send an email out specifically to them. We also have some automated emails in our system. So if you go into email marketing and look at automated emails, there's a variety of different emails in there. I always recommend turning on incomplete registration emails. This is just, hey, I started registering, I didn't finish. And this is a drip email that comes back to that person to try to remind them and bump them to get them to come back and finish their registration. I would also encourage registration follow-up emails, but then customizing that registration follow-up email to remind people about sharing your event with their friends if you're offering any incentives, such as, hey, refer 5 friends and get $25 back on your credit card. So we have, I would say almost every single customer asks us about Facebook and Facebook marketing, and I'm not discounting it at all. But this statement should kind of knock you back a little bit, is that Google is responsible for more than 28% of your race website traffic. So, make sure that the name of your challenge and title of your race include your challenge and what's it about, and that, actually do a Google search for your challenge. Make sure that you show up. Like, I've run into a couple situations where there's been market confusion. So there was multiple people with similar named races or challenges. And that's something that if they had Googled this and done their kind of research ahead of time, they would have realized, I probably don't want to launch with that name, because you can literally buy advertisements. People Google your event and register for someone else's event. So it's a painful lesson if it ever happens. It doesn't happen often, but I've seen it happen. So Facebook marketing. So I did a deep dive on this. I am by no means an expert, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So first thing is organic Facebook. So if you currently have a large Facebook following, absolutely start teasing out your challenge, a good 10-day, 2-week run up of, potentially discounts or feedback from people, dropping your swag, talking about your charity partners. Really start that process up if you've got a large following, to start building up the demand and kind of the groundswell of people being interested in it. And you can, once you actually open the challenge, plug in what we call source tracking. So under the promotion section, source tracking, you can build a custom source tracking link. And what this allows you to do is measure how much traffic and how many registrations are you getting from your organic Facebook posts. So this can get a little tedious, is that if you do, a Facebook post every day and you build a custom source tracking link, it might get a little annoying, but you could just do one source tracking link for all of your organic Facebook posts. So you can kind of just measure that in an aggregate. Like if you have a particular post you want to measure, you could build a specific custom source tracking link for that particular campaign. So Facebook paid ads. The most effective use of your money likely is going to be Facebook custom audiences. So if you've used RunSignup for years, you can go into our CRM, build your list, and export that as a Facebook custom audience list, and then import that into Facebook. Facebook then analyzes that data, sees how many of those people are users of their platform, and now you're ready to advertise. You can then also do what's called a lookalike audience, which takes the 100 people or however many people you uploaded, and then says, okay, give me people that look like this list plus 1% or plus 2%. I really wouldn't recommend going beyond 2% unless it's a small list. If it's a large list of like 10,000 people, I'd only do a 1% lookalike. And so what Facebook's doing is saying, hey, take this list of people and try to find people that look like these people. And then your advertisement is running not only to your list, but those people that look like them. The next thing is, and this is why I'm mentioning, having Facebook Business Manager, is that they have a tool called Audience Insights. Audience Insights allows you to start building out demographic and targeting advertising to, you should know kind of what type of person, what age, do they live in a specific area? There's a lot of different, demographic information that you can put into Audience Insights. One of the big mistakes that most people make when they're advertising is they get too narrow. So if you're trying to build a challenge, one of the things that's important to remember is that the smallest audience isn't necessarily the best audience. So you want to, if you're doing a national challenge, the minimum, the smallest group of people you want to advertise to is 2 million people, which sounds ridiculous, but Facebook is really smart. If they get 50 purchases from you, they now can absolutely start repeating success on your ads. So that's one of the things that most people kind of don't understand about Facebook or Google advertising for that matter, is that it takes a lot of purchases for them to get smart enough to say, okay, we want to keep this customer, meaning you as an advertiser, we need to know who their best type of customer is. So they need to get enough purchases to go through in order to be able to tell you for sure that these are the best customers for your challenge. I also would recommend that you do A/B testing. Facebook makes it super easy to do A/B testing, and A/B testing can be as simple as just one image versus another image, a video versus just a static image. You can also test copy. Just know if you're doing a really small budget that you're probably not going to get enough information for it to be helpful, because it's incredible what Facebook can do in terms of how many different mixing and matching they can do. If you put like 5 different headlines and 2 pieces of collateral, they mix and match all these different things to figure out which ad is performing the best. The other thing is, if you're relatively new to Facebook ads, just know you're going to waste some money. I've wasted money on activity for good. Like, I have not nailed it by any means, but I've at least proven that I know how to get people to buy it through Facebook, which I think is an accomplishment. Again, I didn't have a Facebook page 40 days ago. So, not even having an account at all. So I really don't know anything about it, and I've had to learn it all myself. The last thing, and this is something that, you really need to do, is you need to set up a business manager and get a Facebook pixel, which is your advertiser ID within the Facebook network, and plug that into RunSignup. The purpose of this is that RunSignup then does a post at the end of checkout that sends back to Facebook, hey, this person came from your website and we made a transaction. So this allows Facebook to say, oh, thanks. So they're going to, as they get more and more of those purchases, they can help you try to find your ideal customer. And then Facebook makes it super easy to do remarketing. I would highly recommend doing remarketing. The one thing about remarketing that you need to know is that if your audience is too small, they can't do it. So you need to get at least 1,000 page views to do remarketing. And if you're saying, well, what is remarketing? That is, if you go to a website and then you see that ad for that website later, that is remarketing. And that's the power of the Facebook pixel. And that's the power of using Facebook advertising with remarketing. So connecting people. So, the social connections of your challenge participants are extremely valuable. So every time someone registers for your event and they socially share that they've registered for your challenge, that's a free advertisement. Like, what I have seen is on average is 10 to 20 page views for every single person that registers and shares. So that's pretty good. And I think there's definitely people who are more influential that haven't registered for my challenge, but I've seen in other challenges where they've had hundreds of page views. So that's something to realize, is that, trying to get people in your network to socially share your challenge, and share that they're going to be doing this, is extremely advantageous, and you want to encourage that behavior as much as possible. So we've talked about referral rewards for the past few years, and you can kind of see by this chart, like it's the way I've put it, for some of our events, it's literally off the charts effective. So the percentage of registrations from referrals in May, 23%. The percentage of registration amount from referrals, 28%. So like, that means that if you're not pushing referrals, you could be leaving, I wouldn't say that full amount, but potentially 15 to 20% of registrations, because you're not incentivizing people to go out and recruit their friends to participate in your challenge. So, how do you do that? So there's different ways to do that. What I generally recommend right now, because of all the different challenges that are going on, is just do cash. We automatically can put money back onto the participant's credit card if they hit the threshold that you set. So if I refer 5 friends in this example, I'd receive a $25 refund of my registration fee. RunSignup would automatically withhold that money and then put the money back on the participant's card. So you can do additional high incentives, like, hey, if you refer 10 friends, you get a branded winter cap in this example, or you refer 20 friends and you get like a custom printed map of the course or something. There's lots of different ideas you could do. In general, stick with cash as much as you can. And then if you have a competition, so if you refer, 10 people or more, you automatically get this, or if the top 5 referrers get some special prize, you can do things like that. And making sure that this is like throughout your website, throughout your marketing, throughout your messaging, you're communicating this on your Facebook page, is really important, because you need a handful of people to get really excited about this and start telling their friends. So some of our best practices is we recommend customizing the social sharing. I mentioned that earlier. That's under promotion and then social sharing. So make sure you've got good copy and good images there. It is really easy to get overly complicated on it. Keep it simple. Women are high referrers, not an easy word to say. So make sure if you're offering swag that it's gender appropriate in size and options that women might be interested in. Absolutely use registration follow-up emails. That's under email marketing and automated emails. And I mentioned in the last slide, promote it early and often. Keep talking about it. And there are some events that really do well with referral rewards, and you get exclusive swag that you can only get if you hit certain referral tiers. So groups and teams. In the beginning, we didn't see a lot of success with groups and teams, but as we've gone along, we continue to see more and more success with groups and teams. So our challenge platform does support teams. So, you can have a group of 4 or a group of 10 that's, walking, running, or riding across the country, for example. So it can be an aggregate of people who are, doing the challenge together, or in these cases, it can be, about social. It's just about, hey, getting more friends involved. It can be competitive. It could be fundraising focused. And we also can automate some financial incentives. So if the regular registration is $39 with a $5 discount, if I get 5 people to come on my team, I'll automatically get, everybody on the team gets a $5 refund. And then everyone that registers after that can register for $34. So it's very similar to the referral program. And so you kind of have to make some decisions on, I wouldn't necessarily recommend stacking both on top of these, because you can end up giving away more money than you can actually afford. So if you are a nonprofit, and we do have a nonprofit challenge meeting going on right now, so I think they're probably on that Zoom session. But if you are a for-profit group and you want to bring in your nonprofit partner, I would highly recommend that. You can set up your donations. You can even invite your charity partner to get directly paid, so you don't even have to handle their funds. It also adds credibility. A lot of people want to do something for others right now. So you will get questions if you're doing a challenge and there is no nonprofit partner on your event. So you can set up fundraising as well. It's something that you don't want to take lightly. If you're a for-profit group and your nonprofit is not really bringing a lot of resources to you, you may want to, focus more on donations, because it does take some hand-holding and some pushing to try to get fundraising up and running. So swag, typically, a lot of challenges are doing, t-shirts and medals or t-shirts and masks. So there's different options you can set up. So giveaways would be something that is likely included in the cost of registration. Registration add-ons would be something that maybe is not included in the cost of registration, and a store would be something that is included in the registration path, but could potentially be purchased by anyone. So you can kind of decide, how you want this to work. And you can also set up inventory so people are picking against a set inventory. We also allow you to display images so people can see exactly what they're getting. And then finally, you can use premium swag. So if I refer, say, 20 people to your event, I could get maybe a hoodie or something like that, and that would be something that is hidden from the general public. And then if I hit that tier, I'd actually be able to go into the platform and select my premium swag. So registration follow-up emails. This is something that I mentioned for referral rewards. So you go into email marketing and then automated emails, and you'll turn on registration follow-up emails. I recommend 2. So 1 day after they register, and then maybe 7 days after they register. You want to have a short, concise message about, anything that the questions they might have about the event, as well as you also want to make an ask then of referring their friends, and plug in what we call a replacement tag, which allows you to plug in their unique referral URL to try to get them to hopefully forward that email on to their brother or their sister or their friend, or maybe socially share that link to try to earn those incentives. And you can definitely send too many. Please don't send too many. So here's some examples of the registration follow-up email. So on the left-hand side, this is enablement. It's 1 day and 7 days, like I mentioned, and you view and customize it. And then you can see they've beautifully customized this email. And then you can even see how they've blocked out this whole section on referral rewards. So if you refer 5 people, you get a Great American Trucker hat. If you refer 11 people, you get the hat plus your registration fee. If you refer 17 people, you get your hat plus a registration fee plus good or sunglasses. You can really see they're trying to encourage people to refer their friends. Challenge execution. It's all about the swag, really. So I mentioned this a little earlier, really think about your target audience. So, make sure your swag, and validate this with friends that are in your target audience. Is this something that they would want? Would they buy this even if there wasn't a challenge? Make sure that you're asking those questions, and be okay if they say, well, no, I wouldn't. And what do you not like about it? And make sure you ask more than one person, because maybe one person doesn't like pink. I think it's, in some of this is making sure you're talking to, a good company, and you have a good relationship with them, and getting some feedback from them, because this stuff does change seasonally and year to year. So some styles kind of come out of style, some styles come back into style. I'm not an expert at it. So I definitely encourage people to make sure you're making selections that are based off of simplicity and feedback. So again, if you've got a huge Facebook following and you get people to fill out a survey, you could even show them some examples of some of the swag that you're looking at. One of the biggest issues that most challenges run into is if you start, are you going to have people pick up their swag at your facility or a specific facility? Are you going to have it available at a local store for some period of time, or are you going to ship it? Shipping is what I generally recommend if you can't do pickup. But shipping can get very complicated and expensive. We're going to include in our follow-up some information about shipping and fulfillment companies that could allow you to find someone to fully outsource that to. So, you're just charging a shipping fee to everyone, and everyone gets it shipped. When you start splitting, some are getting it by picking it up and some are shipping it, it can get very complicated, because people, I promise you, will change their mind. They'll say, I don't want to pick it up anymore. Now I want to ship. Well, now you got to charge them $5. Some people are going to say, well, I don't want to ship anymore. I want to go pick it up. And shipping everything is definitely simplification. So this is what I was mentioning about the shipping. So we're going to include some information about that. If you work with a timing or event management company, ask them if they do this, because they may very well already offer this service. And if it's someone that you've worked with in the past, you've already got that relationship and they can kind of walk you through the ins and outs of that. You absolutely want to collect a validated shipping address. So RunSignup has a validated USPS address that's included in the platform. You just go to race, registration, and shipping to enable that. We saw this in the very beginning of the presentation, but adding information about when and how people are going to receive their swag is going to save you time and energy. So absolutely include that. We've got two different concepts for shipping. Most events are shipping everything, once the challenge starts. This can lead to some aggravation though, because it could be up to 5 weeks after the challenge starts before people start receiving their goods. On the inverse side, if you try to pre-order, you may order too much, you may order the wrong stuff. So it's really a balancing act, and that's why having a really good relationship and discussion with your shipping and fulfillment company can save you a lot of gray hairs. So here's some kind of more information about shipping. So there's companies like ShipStation, ShipEasy. I think Matt Sinclair was telling me today about Pirate Ship is another one. So if you're going to ship using U.S. Postal Service, their rates just went up 30%. And I don't know if this weight was affected by this as well, but you need to stay under 13 ounces. So don't, try to figure out what your swag package is going to weigh, because if it weighs over 13 ounces, that's going to significantly change your price. How your goods fit together, it could change your pricing. Shipping zones. So if you're shipping stuff to certain parts of the country like Alaska, Hawaii, it could get really expensive. And then shipping zones. If you're shipping internationally into certain shipping zones, I've seen pricing over $100 to send stuff to certain places. So you really need to be careful if you're going to allow international participants. We are working on more software to make this easier for you, to try to get more integrations and pricing to allow you guys to have more accurate pricing on shipping. So race day or race month rewards. Within the platform, we have, when you actually are a participant in a challenge, you'll see that you have a progress bar. So like, how far into the challenge are you? Are you 12%? Are you 8%? Are you 92%? You also have the maps. So again, using my example, if you're running from Houston to El Paso, where are you on that map? So if you create a KML file and upload that in there, participants can actually see where they are along the map. A little Google icon onto the map, and then see exactly where you are. It's pretty cool. So collective progress, you can also add right onto your cover page the mileage that, in this case, I'll use mileage, or potentially minutes that your entire group has collectively done. So that's a great way to show kind of the community aspect of it. And you can do that through using our cover page and then adding a component called virtual challenge, and it shows right up on your cover page. So here's some examples of what we were just talking about. So you can see the determination runs the country. They've completed 11,347 miles. Their goal was 2,900, and they've hit their goal 4 times. So they've gone across the country. They're starting their 5th lap of going back across the country. So this is a map example. So they're going from Newark to Trenton, and so they can see where they are along that progress points. So milestones and badges. So this is one of the things that gets me excited about this long term, is you can earn badges, and you can get custom badges and plug them into our platform. So you can see Matt Avery here. He's climbing famous landmarks. He's done 71 miles. He's gained 1,600 feet. He's run 11 miles, ridden 50 miles, walked 10 miles. And then you can see on the right-hand side, something that is absolutely not true. It says Darren is cool. Darren is our UX designer. Darren is definitely not cool. That's not a badge you want to get. So you can do a lot of fun stuff with badges. I think we have some examples. Let me see here. Actually, we don't have some examples here. So one of the things we'll include in the document follow-up is where you can go and build your own custom badges. There's some really interesting places to build some custom badges now. So Facebook groups, I have seen some of these Facebook groups and I am really blown away. Like, to give you an example here, on the left-hand side, this woman's wearing a Wonder Woman blanket, getting chemo, and she's hoping to do her 4.5 miles, and that will be 480 miles. I helped with the Great Race Across Tennessee, which was a really big challenge that started. And I saw this guy who was based at some sort of scientific camp in Greenland, and he was logging mileage in the Great Race Across Tennessee. So when you really start building these national and international groups, you'll see incredible engagement and just really inspiring stuff, because you're just getting such a large, diverse group of people. So cultivating a Facebook group is how you get real engagement, and it also is a jumping off point to potentially do more virtual events or virtual challenges in the future. So digital rewards, make sure you don't skip out on doing a digital bib, even if it's a virtual challenge. Don't miss out on finisher certificates. So when people finish your challenge, these are things that, believe it or not, people will actually print them out. It blows me away, but people will print out their digital bib. People will print out their finisher certificate. And they want kind of keepsakes for, their journey. And I have one of our customers, he did the best damn race across Florida. He even sent out these, badges you can actually stitch onto like your backpack or suitcase or something like that. Like, those types of small touches really do separate you from the crowd. So I know I talk really fast and I covered a lot of different things, but let's just kind of, circle everything back up, and we'll go through some questions real quick. So again, hammering on this, runsignup.com/challenge platform. We've got building a challenge everything guide. You're going to get that. We've got steps on how to build a virtual race. We've got, fulfillment. Also ask your local timing company or event management company. We also have a recommendations list we'll share with you. We've got a marketing checklist. And then if you're really, really tough on, like, you want to build your own graphics, but you're like, I'm not a graphic designer, don't worry, neither am I. Use Canva. There's other tools out there as well. And then Open Badge Designer. That's what I was thinking earlier, is that's where you can go in and build your own badges. And one thing that we missed, we talked about, the badges, so these cool things, digital badges that you earn, and the milestones. So like, you've got 10 miles out of your 100. Support notifications. So when you get to mile 10, you've hit the first milestone, and you've hit the first milestone. You've earned the badge. You can then all a notification, so an email that actually goes to the challenge participant that says, hey, congratulate, whatever you want it to say, congratulations for hitting mile 10. If you're literally like hiking, or going across the state, you could say, hey, you've reached the world's largest anthill, in Texas or whatever. So you can do a lot of fun things if you're doing geographic based or achievement based notifications then. So that's everything. And Johanna, I am 2 minutes under time.
Very impressed. Matt, did you have any questions that you thought were most important to share with the whole group? 1 minute.
No? There has to be questions.
It's not letting me unmute him.
Oh.
I know one that there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so we've been peppering the chat with links that are related to most of the stuff. Brian, if you wanted to give your elevator pitch about what the importance of the Facebook pixel is, and maybe where to go to implement that into your race for marketing, that would be a good start.
So if you're buying Facebook ads and you're not using the pixel, you are literally lighting money on fire. So because without it, you don't know what's working per se, and Facebook doesn't know what's working either. So what you do is you have to have Facebook Business Manager set up. So if you don't know what that is, just Google it. It's not that hard. You have to fill out, your company name, how long you've been in business, and some different things. It's a little painful, but it's worth doing. Then after that, you can then set up your Facebook pixel. and that pixel is your unique identifier as an advertiser. You take that pixel, you go into the challenge or the race, whatever you're promoting, you click on that race, you click on promotion, you click on Facebook pixel, you drop in, it's a long number. That's why you know that you're in the right place. You plug that in and you hit save. And so now when you run ads, you're connecting it to it. Facebook's going to say, do you want this campaign to be connected to a pixel action, which would be a purchase? And you would say, yeah, I want it to be a purchase. So I can't underemphasize how important it is to have the pixel in, because if you start having success and if you get to this magic number of 50 purchases using Facebook, their algorithm will get more and more intelligent about the types of people who should be interested in what you're selling. So if you don't have that, I'm telling you, you're just lighting money on fire.
Great. Thanks, Brian. I think that should wrap everything up. If anybody had any questions they weren't able to ask in front of the group, feel free to reach out and we'll get an account manager answer any other questions.
Cool. Well, I appreciate everyone jumping in. Hopefully this was helpful. I know it's a lot of information. That's why we call it a cram session, but you've got the basics now, and we've got a lot of information to share with you. And so, hopefully this is kind of like a building point to, get your challenge up and running this fall. Well, thank you guys. See ya.